welcome back to the shop. So you went out and you got yourself a new welder. What are you going to do, leave it sit here on the bench? Well, of course not. You need a cart for it to sit on. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to make this cart. I got all this tube for pretty much nothing, and we're going to weld this up. I pre-cut everything, put 45s on everything, and I've been messing around. If you watched my my last video with the review of this welder, I've been messing around with the pulse settings, and I'm really liking the way this welds. I'm welding up these corners without even using a filler rod. So let's get started on this thing. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just taking a little square, and I'm squaring up the first corner, and I'm going to tack these tubes together. I'm going to put my dimensions on later on, so you'll be able to recreate this if you want to. So now the trick to welding with the pulse welder and not using filler rod is your joints have to be cut pretty darn good. So I cut these all on a little bandsaw, and I mean, there's a little tiny gap there, but not much. So all I did was put a couple of little tacks on the corners that held this together, so now I can go ahead and finish weld it. So I checked my fit, and I welded it solid. Went all the way around. Okay, like I said in my last video, I'm not an expert, so it's taken me a lot of practice here to get used to this thing. But boy, it seems to weld really good. Now I was using the pulse, and I started getting a headache from the pulsing. So that may be why a lot of these guys say these Harbor Freight helmets are no good. It didn't seem like the helmet's keeping up to the pulse. So I took the pulse off, and the helmet works fine with the pulse off. So bottom line is probably a good thing to go buy a good helmet if you're doing a lot of welding. So this is going to be the top that the welder sits in, the pocket that the welder sits in. So it goes over the top of the welder here. Actually goes on the bottom of the welder. So then the next step are these legs. The legs are at a slight angle. They were cut to a slight angle. So the welder will sit at a little bit of an angle like this here. Alright, so I'm going to get these legs tacked in. Okay, so we got the legs welded on. Starting to take shape now. You see the welder's going to sit up in here. And now I got to do the base, and the base has to be stuck out further this way. So it allows for the gas bottle back here. Let's put those pieces together. Okay, so I got the base all welded together here. Now, what I did here is I put my tubes weren't quite long enough where I would have made that all one piece, but I made a little box here. This is where the gas bottle is going to sit. and I made it big enough to accept the bigger gas bottles. The little gas bottle I got is 7 inches. I think the next one is 7.5, and then they go, I mean, I don't know if you'd get a real big one. I don't know why you would need it, but they go up a little higher than that. So this is like 8 and something inches across here. Yeah, exactly 8 inches, and 8 by 9. So that'll fit most of the gas bottles. And the welder will be up here, but there'll be plenty of room back here then for the gas bottles. So next step is we're going to have to weld the top onto the bottom. Now I always go ahead and I grind my welds. Even with the TIG welder, I'm not that good. I still get some gobs on the ends here because I don't overlap decent. So you know, if you're a better welder than me, you wouldn't have to do that, because I mean, certain areas where I had nice tight fittings, I mean, it welds beautiful in there, you know. No, I didn't use any dipping rod or anything in there, so it welds really nice there. If you could create those welds everywhere else, I mean, that would be beautiful without even grinding it. But I'm not that good, I guess, you know. So we're gonna add the top onto the bottom now, and then we have to put some cross members here so we can set the welder on there. So basically, this is what it's going to look like. There'll be some wheels back here so that I can pull it up the steps. They'll be bigger, a little bit bigger diameter, and then some casters in the front. So we just got to get this attached and then finish her up. Okay, so we got it all welded together here, and I told you I was going to give you some dimensions. So let's start with the top here where the welder is going to sit. I have this at about 21 inches. And it is about 10 inches wide. Okay, so that leaves about a quarter inch on each side. I put a quarter inch shim in there when I measured the welder. So about a quarter inch on each side space for that welder to sit in there. Okay, so then the bottom was made the same way, except that I extended this square out the back here. Okay, so the inside dimensions of this square is 9 by 8. Alright, and that is basically welded flush with the back edge of where the welder is going to sit. So that measures on the outside 20 inches. Now your outside dimensions are going to be different because of whatever tube you use, you know, or pipe or whatever you're welding with, angle iron. It's going to, whatever it is, it's going to change these dimensions. So your inside dimension kind of has to match, and then whatever your outside dimension is, that's what it's gonna end up at. So this is also 10 by 19 to the back. Measuring the inside here, and then this is 8 by 9. So the overall height at the front here, the overall height is 29.5. At the back, it's around 28.25. And I just fudged that. I didn't cut that at any angle. I just laid a straight edge on there at a slight pitch and cut it, and cut the tubes. So, you know, it's, I don't know, 5 degrees, 8, whatever, something like that. I don't know, you know. That's the way I make things. But So the only thing I got to do here yet is I got to put a plate in the bottom here for the gas cylinder, and I got to put something in the top here to hold the to go under the feet of the welder, some straps across there or whatever, and then last but not least, we got to go get some wheels. So why don't we go get some wheels, and we'll get back to this in a little bit. Even got my 15% Menards bag with me. My bag full of stuff plus a little extra. Alright, so I went over to Menards and got some stuff. So I got some casters for the front. I got some wheels for the back. Now this may look like overkill, but my steps are 7 inches tall. This way I don't have to lift so hard, I can just roll it up the steps, okay, to get it out of the basement and out into the garage. So we're gonna see if this works. It should work, I don't see why it wouldn't, but you know. Then I also bought an axle. Bought some 1/8 inch plate to go across the bottom here, okay, for the welder to sit on. I bought a little bit heavier 3/16 plate for the gas bottle to sit on. The gas bottle's a little heavier. All right, so let's drill some holes and put this together and see what it looks like. Okay. So we got it all put together. I got the wheels on. They weren't too hard to put on. I put the shaft all the way through, and then I welded on the inside here, and then cut the shaft off because my holes didn't line up. We'll look at that a little closer. And then the other thing I added here, added a rod storage. This is PVC trim, house trim, that I cut some holes in, and PVC pipe, and a cap on both ends. And then we're just going to add some totes here to throw your combustibles and stuff in. Put my combustibles and your tungsten rods inside there, and some gloves and whatever you need to keep with your welder. Throw that stuff in there. I think that's going to work pretty good. So we're going to get this thing put together. I'm going to get the welder on there and the tank on there and make sure I don't need anything else. And we'll be back in a second. All right, so here it is all put together. A couple of things that need to be done yet. need to put something on the front here for the cables to hang on. Something for the foot pedal to sit on for when you're storing it, pushing it out of the way. And then on the gas bottle over here, I think I'm just going to put another bar in the middle here more so that I have something to strap that bottle to good and tight. Right now it's just kind of, it's on there, but it's, you know, it's hitting up here. So I think I'm going to put one down a little farther so I can put a strap down here in the middle and just clamp it really good and tight. And that way when I go up the steps and stuff with it, it ain't going to go anywhere. So other than that, let's take a closer look here at some of this stuff. So don't mind my dirty floor. So here's how I made the back where the gas bottle's sitting. I added these pieces across here, so it's just like a strap. It just sits on there. That way the dirt and dust can just fall through. It doesn't collect in there or anything. The axles, I just made a stub axle. I originally put a whole bar all the way through because my holes didn't line up quite right. So I put the bar all the way through, and then I cut them, welded on the inside here, and I cut this off. So that worked out pretty good. I mean, I think it's plenty rigid for what it's hauling around. And then, like I said earlier, on the top here, there's about a 1/4 inch gap all the way around this welder. So you can stick some little wood shims in there if you want or not. It doesn't matter. And on the bottom here, I just put that 1/8 inch strap. I put 2 pieces going the long way, and then I put 2 pieces going the other way here, crossways, right where the feet are at. And the middle is basically open underneath here. So yeah, I think if I put a bar here or some hook, some type of a hook for these cables and the foot pedal to sit on yet before I paint it, I think that'll work pretty good. And then it just, I mean, you can move it around pretty easy. It rolls like nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. I'm gonna get it painted, get the brackets that I need yet on here, and we'll be good to go. I'll show you in a little bit here how it looks when it's finished. Well, here's your finished product. What can I tell you about this? Well, it took me about an afternoon to weld it all together. If you're not getting the tube for free, I wouldn't even start this project because the cost of the tube would probably be way more than what you can just go out and buy one for. So the fact that I got the tube for nothing makes it a worthwhile project to do. I added the straps on here just to so when I'm moving it up and down the steps, nothing's gonna just go flopping over on me. Other than that, it's good to go. So how about we do some Peter McKinnon B-roll to send this thing off. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to my channel.